right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. No? So you're seeing the title, which is not caring for carers, but the three rules of self-renewal for carers. So you'll find out later why these two topics are connected. But first of all, allow myself to introduce. For the past 11 years, I have been a carer in the HIV space here in the Philippines. And as Rad mentioned, I was a co-founder of Love Yourself, where I spearheaded the establishment of the volunteer-powered treatment facility at Love Yourself Anglo. I also led the first PrEP initiative in the country. We did a demonstration project that led to the writing of the interim guidelines that was shown to you today by the previous speaker. And also, I was the one who introduced the first mental health program in Love Yourself called Flourish Circle, which was recognized in 2020 by the Philippine Mental Health Association as a promising community-based practice. It was also a grant recipient in the 2022 Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation. It was highlighted as a program that aligns with its value of promoting kindness. Ayan. Outside the world of the HIV advocacy, my real profession is of an HR leader. Most recently, I was the HR head of market research company in Japan, in Tokyo, Japan. My background, my educational background is leaning towards the science and technology. I have a degree in theoretical physics as well as in information technology, but I'm also working on my PhD in org development. But today I am a management consultant, and my favorite job is to be a mentor and a coach. So as I've said, I have been like you, and I've been a carer, so to speak, in the HIV advocacy. And I should say that it has both been a challenging and a rewarding experience. It was a privilege to support my clients. Matagal po akong naging HIV counselor. Even as I was leading Love Yourself at that time, I was actually on a day-to-day basis doing HIV counseling. So alam na alam ko that being someone who is giving care to other people, while it is rewarding, it also has some physical, mental, and emotional toll sa ating lahat. Kaya napaka-importante that we talk about this topic of caring for carers. So as caregivers, so pwede bang yun ang term na ginagamit? As a person who gives care to people, we face this set of challenges lagi. Hindi po madali. Alam niyo yan. I don't have to detail out this experience because I think day to day, alam niyo na hindi madali na magbigay ng care. Sa umpisa siguro, exciting, but eventually you will get to a point na bakit parang nakaka-frustrate? Bakit napaka-stressful naman itong ginagawa ko? So these difficulties can manifest in many ways, and it's very important for us to be able to recognize the negative effects that this can have on ourselves as well as on the relationships that we have with our clients. One of the most common effects of caregiving difficulties is burnout. So us who sometimes experience burnout may feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and emotionally drained. We can struggle in providing the kind of quality level of care that we want to give kapag nandun tayo sa state of burnout. So sometimes it even leads to feeling of guilt and inadequacy kapag tayo ay narito sa areang ito of burnout. And then another effect perhaps that I'd like to share is the overbearing behavior. Hindi lahat, pero some people get to, ito yung parang ito yung response nila when they feel overwhelmed. They become excessively controlling, and sometimes that style does not work with your clients. Kapag naging very controlling and overbearing tayo. Because we need to maintain, as you very well know, that our clients are independent and have their own autonomy. And it can strain the relationship between you and the client if we are overbearing. On the other end of the spectrum naman, indifference. Kapag tayo ay hindi natin inaalaga ng ating sarili, na pwede tayong madala sa level of indifference in our dealings with our client. parang superficial or mechanical or transactional na yung mga nagiging interactions natin with them, all because we are not able to recognize our situation that we are not able to take care of our own needs as a caregiver. So napaka-importante, ano ang solusyon dito, no? What is the solution? No? And I'm sure you've heard about this, and I heard that there was a poll kanina, no? At marami kayong mga nasabi about how you take care of yourself. And I'll provide you with some typical solutions that you hear about caring for yourself as a caregiver. Ayan, nakikita niyo sa screen, no? Taking a break, meditating, put boundaries, say no. Ito, napaka-importante, work-life balance, journaling, watching a movie, and so on and so forth. I think this list is very good. No? I'm sure nakita nyo now one way or the other itong mga suggestions na to on how to take care of yourself. However, what I want to do today in the next perhaps 30 minutes is to give you a deeper look into paano nga ba? How can I take care of myself at the same time provide this, I would say stressful job that we are into, providing care to others. No, so that's the reason why I wanted to give this talk on the 3 rules of self-renewal. No, so let me given the shorter time that I have right now, let me go directly to the main point here, that we need to disabuse ourselves from the idea that caring for self or self-care or self-renewal is about choosing between 2 polar opposites of self or others. Self versus the client, ourselves versus the work that we do. So hindi po yan. What I want to share as an insight before I dive into the 3 rules is we can choose both. Pwede po na tayo ay maging maalaga sa ating mga kliyente, but at the same time maalaga sa ating sarili. No? Na tayo ay pwedeng very focused sa ating trabaho, masigasig sa ating mga trabaho bilang people who give care to others, but at the same time masigasig din na alagaan yung taong nagbibigay ng care, which is ourselves. No? So let's disabuse ourselves. Hindi po kailangan mamili dun sa dalawa. Pwede po nating sila piliin pareho. And then I can also share with you some one specific quotation from this author, si Ryan Holiday, the author of the book Stillness is Key. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's one book that I really, really like. Ang sabi niya, build a life you don't need to escape from. And as people who give care, sana ganito. Sana yung ating buhay ay binibuild natin such that hindi natin to kailangan takasan dahil sobrang stressful or sobrang hirap. How can we do this? By developing skills so that we can manage ourselves even as we experience sometimes or maybe maraming beses, the stresses of this endeavor that we are in, of giving care. And so I go now to the main points of my presentation where I share with you the 3 rules of self-renewal for us carers. No? Essentially, ang gusto ko pong saguting tanong is, how can we become self-adjusting, self-correcting, and self-renewing people? Kasi yan naman po ang importante. Hindi ito isang bagsak na gagawin mo at self-care na yon. What I want to invite you is to think about self-renewal as a lifestyle na araw-araw at naka-embed sa buhay natin bilang isang taong nagbibig ng care sa iba, no? So that we can truly sustain the good work that we are doing, the very important work that we are doing. And so let me invite you to learn about these 3 rules of self-renewal for carers. Very simple. Rule number 1. Strengthen your inner game. Rule number 2, cultivate your outer game. And rule number 3, mastermind your transformation. Oh, medyo parang ano ba to? Big words, but let me provide some details and some clarification in the next slides. Rule number 1, is strengthening your inner game, yung ating pangkaloobang mundo, no? Yung ating inner world. Some people call it the interior life, no? Some people call it the inner game. Ito po ay na-achieve by increased awareness ng ating story, style, and star. Oh, medyo nakikita niyo yung pattern ng ating first rule, no? Lahat ay nagsisimula sa isang letra. So ano ibig sabihin nung isa-isahin natin? Story. Anong ibig sabihin yan? I'd like to share with you this model that I always use, no? Na ang sabi nila, ang buhay ay parang isang gulong. Lumang-lumang reference, no? Gulong ng buhay, no? Uh, a little bit later, I'll explain why it's important that we see our life as a cycle, no? Ang sabi ng model na to, that there are 4 phases that our lives can be in at any moment in time. Pwedeng narito tayo sa phase number 1, go for it. Pwedeng phase number 2, the doldrums. Phase number 3, cocooning, or phase number 4, getting ready. Bakit importante na alam natin kung nasan tayo? Dahil iba't iba ang nararapat o karampatang appropriate self-care, self-renewing practice based on where we are in our lives. No? So, very in more detail, kapag ikaw ay nasa go for it phase, ang example nito is ikaw ay katatapos lang ng iyong training or yun ang iyong pag-aaral bilang isang doktor at or nurse at meron kang bagong trabaho. Ang pakiramdam niyan ay ano, no? You are very excited, you're very positive, you feel so expansive, optimistic, no? Determined to do this new thing that you're having. Yan. Perhaps you are in the go for it phase. Pwede rin naman sa personal life, meron kang bagong jowa, no? Sinagot ka ng girlfriend or boyfriend mo recently. Imagine that feeling, no? That is the feeling or energy for the go for it phase, no? At kapag nandito ka daw sa phase na ito, the appropriate self-care or self-renewal tips that you can observe are the following. Enjoy the place that you're in kasi medyo masaya to. Masaya yung area ito, no? Itong phase na ito. And enjoy it, lasapin mo, namnamin mo. That's a way of renewing yourself. When you are celebrating, when you're feeling grateful about where you are in your life, when you feel more fulfilled, when you take new risks kasi feel mo kayang-kaya mo siya, no? You follow a sense of purpose. Yan. That is the picture of self-care when you are in this phase. However, hindi lahat ng masaya ay nananatiling masaya all the time. Karamihan ay ito ay nanlulumo, no? The phase 2 is talking about that phase, the doldrums phase, where you suddenly feel, itong trabahong kinuha ko, parang ang hirap na. Parang hirap ko nang bumangon every day just to go to work. Parang nakakatamad na. Ay, parang stress na ako, no? Or maybe in your relationship, itong boyfriend ko, parang nagkamali yata ako ng pinili. So you might be in the doldrums phase. And if you are in the doldrums phase, iba ang itsura ng self-care or self-renewal, no? This is medyo kailangan ka mag-slow down, seek feedback from friends. Tama ba itong nararamdaman ko? Tama ba itong naiisip ko? You take notice of the things that happen to you and the reactions that you have. Maganda siguro nag-journal. Some people like doing that, no? And you look for patterns. Kapag itong ginawa ko, itong nararamdaman ko, no? And so on and so forth. And the goal is that you adjust so that you can get back on track. No? Yun naman yung ating gusto. Hindi natin gustong magstay dito ng matagal sa pagiging trapped, helpless, sad, defeated, no? But it's a reality. It happens, no? So let's adjust. And normally, you will see, no? Ang normal cycle natin is to go from go for it to the doldrums, but back to go for it. And how do you do that? By doing small changes in your life, no? Yung iba sa inyo dito sabi ninyo, self-care practice nyo is mag-vacation leave. Tama, no? There are times when we feel that we're in the doldrums, pero kapag we give ourselves some pause, by a vacation leave, punta lang tayo sa isang lugar like Boracay or maybe dito sa, sa mga bulubunduking lugar dito sa Tagaytay, nag-vacation leave ka 2 days, 3 days. Pagbalik mo, you're refreshed. And that's good. Maybe you are in that second wind of energy and you're in the go for it phase again, no? Or maybe it's a little bit that ibang change, no? Magbago ka ng role sa same organization. O kaya magbago ka ng trabaho, lumipat ka from one organization to the other. Or kung ang iyong problema is about your relationship, your marriage, maybe you have a counseling session with a marriage counselor. Maybe a change in location, or maybe just a change in your routine, your hobby, and so on and so forth. Those small changes can help you bring yourself back to go for it phase. However, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon successful yan. There are times na may mga nangyayari sa atin na hindi kaya ng vacation leave, hindi kaya ng pagbabago lang ng trabaho. And maybe that is when you're actually in the third phase called cocooning. Ito yung mga malalaking changes na nangyayari sa buhay mo na hindi kaya ng small adjustment. No? Pwedeng ito ay isang life-altering diagnosis. A lot of our patients, our clients who get diagnosed with HIV actually get shot to phase 3. Maybe they are in phase 1, bigla na silang mapupunta sa phase 3, which is cocooning. It is when you feel so, it's important for you to feel, maybe alone, lonely, quiet muna, disengage ka muna sa mga kasamahan mo sa trabaho. You feel unsure, tama ba tong buhay ko? It's not just about the work that you do, pero parang hindi mo gusto kung anong nangyayari sa buong paligid. No? And perhaps this is the time of a cocooning phase for you. No? At anong itsura ng self-care kapag you find yourself in the cocooning phase? It's very different. The suggestions are more deep. It's more meditative. It's more going very deep into your values, into what you really want, yung purpose mo sa life, no? Kaya ang mga recommendation is, you go inward, you take a lot of time to reflect, perhaps go on a retreat, no? Determine what to hold on to and what to let go, what to take on as new things to love, and how to move on moving forward. Ito yung cocooning phase. At normally, mas matagal ito than we usually like. If we are in this phase, be patient. That's part of self-renewal and self-care. No? And however long this takes, perhaps isa ito sa makakatulong sa atin, no? Sing quotation from Parker Palmer, before you tell your life what you intend to do with it, listen for what it intends to do with you. Ayan. That gives you the energy of what the cocooning phase is all about. But however long this might take, darating at darating tayo sa next phase in life, which is the getting ready phase. When you feel more renewed, you feel more creative, you feel more refreshed, more adventurous, parang, sige, I'm ready, I'm getting ready for the new phase in my life. At kapag nandito ka sa phase na to, self-care and self-renewal will look more like experimenting. Hindi muna nagko-commit sa bagong trabaho or bagong relationship. Rather, you want to try things out. Take your time, no? There's no rush. There is a lot of movement, but there is no rush, no? Because what you want to do is plan to land to your next go for it phase in a softer way, no? Good ways to use your time when you are in the getting ready phase is to network, new connections, new friends, and be open to possibilities. Yan ang itsura ng self-care when you are in this phase, no? So, in summary, this is your narrative. Where are you in this phase, in these phases of life, no? Kasi kung ikaw ay nasa isang lugar like the doldrums, your self-care practices will need to be appropriate for that particular phase, no? So that's the first part of rule number 1, strengthening your inner game, determining or increasing your awareness where you are in your story, and find appropriate practices that are aligned with that part of your story. And it can change, as you move through your life. The next is your style. What is this style? Very specific to our role as people who give care to others. Dapat aware tayo kung ano ang ating default style in dealing with our clients or dealing with other people. This model that you're seeing in this slide is a model developed by Karen Horney and Timothy Leary, saying ito yung pwedeng summary of your possible styles. No? Meron sa inyo, and marami ako naririnig, no? Some of those that I have spoken to, ay, yung si Doc, si Doc, ang kanyang style with her clients is very motherly, no? And that is typically the moving towards style or moving towards approach, no? It is warm and close, but it's also, high power. Ibig sabihin, they are assertive with their clients, but at the same time, mas malambing sila. They're like nurturing mothers, no? Moving towards. Pero hindi lahat ay ganyan. There are some people, ang kanilang normal style ay parang isang strict disciplinarian father. Ito yung moving against on the upper left side of the screen. If you have this style, you are more, parang you challenge your client. You use your power as the caregiver to change or control them, no? Uh, pero at the same time, hindi kayong motherly. It's more cold and distant, parang very clinical lang yung approach, no? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. There is no judgment here. Your style is not wrong, no? It's not wrong. There's no wrong style. But what I'm saying here, as I describe these four styles, is please be aware of your style, of your default style. Because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't work, and if you continue to stick with your style because that's the only thing you know, then you will be stressed, your client will be stressed, and this is not a good environment to be in. So the main bottom line for this particular point is know your tendencies and adjust. Okay, if you're the nurturing mother, if you're not the strict disciplinarian father, pwedeng ang iyong style ay moving away. Ito yung nasa lower left side, moving away from others. Para itong isang cold classmate. Remember when we were in school, no? And you ask a classmate na hindi masyadong warm sa'yo, ang parang na mismo yung kunwari isang class ni madam, sabihin niya, ito na lang yung notes ko, sige, kopyahin mo. And then that's it. Hindi ka na niya tutulungan masyado and all that, no? So they are more avoidant and they have no interest in really, giving you instructions or have power in your relationship. They don't have real strong connections with people. And some folks are like that, no? That's their default style. Again, they may not be ideally the personality that you would want to see in a caregiving relationship, but there are people who are like that. And sometimes it works for some clients. Mas gusto nila very detached yung kanilang caregiver, and that's fine. And the last one is the moving with others, no? So ito yung parang good friend, no? They are warm and close, but at the same time, they're less instructive. No? Parang kung ayaw mo sundin, nasa sayo yan. Parang ganon. No? So that is the moving with. So regardless of whatever your style is, what is important is that you are aware what is your tendency. And do know that you have the power to adjust based on the situation at hand, so that you have better outcomes both for your client and for yourself. So know your style. That's number 2 in rule number 1. And the number 3 in rule number 1 is about having or being clear about your North Star. Ano ba talaga ang ginagawa mo dito sa trabahong ito? Because it may be a stepping stone for some people. It may be to develop certain skills, but be clear about what has heart and meaning for you. And know that your journey is not done and you will never be done if you are not going towards what has heart and meaning for you. So take some time to find out, dito ba sa ginagawa ko ngayon, sa trabaho kong ito, sa organisasyon kung nasan ako ngayon, what is the direction I'm going to? And how can that guide my decisions today on a day-to-day basis so that I can continually go closer to my real goal and purpose? So that sums up our three items or components under rule number one, where you need to have increased awareness of and addressing your story, your style, and your star. So now it's time for us to go to the second rule. Rule number two is about cultivating your outer game. It means developing meaningful and positive relationships and connections with other people. Kung kanina, it's all about our inner world, yung pag-iisip, awareness of yourself. Ito is all about others, other people, or your connection with others. First is connect. For us to be a self-renewing person, no, we need to connect with others because we are social creatures, no? We are naturally wired to connect with others. And and developing positive relationships with others can help you in your process of continual self-renewal. Imagine yourself, for example, spending quality time with your most treasured family or friends, no? Ayan, imagine natin Pasko o kaya no, ito yung mga panahon na we are closer with our family, with our friends. 'Di ba? Ang sarap ng feeling, no? Because that's a normal reaction ng ating emotions when we are with people who like us, who support us, no? So have more of that because there's real evidence that positive and meaningful relationship indeed bring us joy and energy and that it provides us life satisfaction, no? A supportive network of friends, family and colleagues can really help boost our resilience, provide us with a sounding board, and offer us support and encouragement in our personal and professional lives. So at this moment, I'd like you to think through sino yung mga kasama nyo sa trabaho. Do you have meaningful and positive relationships with them? Like mo ba yung mga katrabaho mo on a day-to-day basis? How about your boss? Gusto mo ba yung mga clients mo? So, it is important, hindi naman kailangan lahat ng tao ay friends mo. What I am saying here is to have connections because having connections, friendships, positive relationships will provide you also that resilience that you need to go through this life that we have chosen in helping others. Second part of rule number two is contribute. It's not just about connecting with others, but also being generous with them. This component is based on the idea that when one does something that is considered generous with others, be it with quality time, acts of service, material help, the giver naturally feels better and re-energized. Ito yung helper's high na tinatawag, no? It is feeling joy and satisfaction that comes from helping others. No? Medyo natural na siya sa linya ng trabaho natin, no? So, but being conscious about it, that we are continually giving to others, it provides us a sense of purpose and in that sense, well-being, no? When we focus also on creating value for others, medyo na-shift yung focus natin from our own problems, our own issues, to how do we help other people. And, because of that, we can regain our centeredness and balance, and that can help our well-being as well. And the third part of rule number two is collaborating. Aside from, the good that we feel in helping others, if we are actually collaborating with other people and nilalasap natin yung teamwork na yan, no? Yung collaboration na yan, that also provides us with another level of the sense of purpose and helps strengthens our connection with others and our support network, no? So, palakaibigan ba kayo sa trabaho? Palakaibigan ba kayo sa mga kapitbahay nyo? Or other people in the advocacy? O nang-aaway kayo? o gusto nyo competition, mas magaling kami, mas marami kami natitest, mas marami kami natitreat. So, away with all those toxic things, guys. I know some of these funding organizations, you want to have all those numbers for their own purposes. But please, let's not play that game. We are here to help the communities that need our help. And let us collaborate rather than compete. Competition, the spirit of competition may help some, but in general, I would say it's toxic. So away with that. Let's see other carers in other facilities as our collaborators in doing good for our community. No? And in summary, rule number 2 is about really cultivating your positive relationships with other people. And this helps us with reducing our stress, our burnout, and our anxiety. And lastly, rule number 3. Rule number 3 is a little bit different from rule number 1 and 2, but it's very, very important because it's about your transformation. The main idea here is that we need to be continuously learning and growing so that we can truly be self-adjusting, self-correcting, and self-transforming. And there are 3 components in making us become a master of self-change: your mind, mentoring yourself, and metamorphosis. So first is about your mind. You are already doing very concretely what this component is talking about. Learning, continuous learning is important in maintaining your self-efficacy as well as your well-being. This involves a commitment to continuous growth and self-development because we believe that by expanding your knowledge and skills in, may it be intellectual skills, paano ba maghalo ng diluent na kanina yung mga questions. So that's good. Those are skills that you really, really need as you do your job, and you better know them. So growth in your intellectual skills, values and leadership, your human skills, your technical skills, by expanding your knowledge and skills in many areas, you can continually improve your capacity to solve complex problems, thereby reducing stress when faced with difficult situations. Kung bobo ka, sorry for the term, kung hindi mo masyadong siniseryoso ang iyong set of competence and your skills, lagi kang masistress kapag may problema kasi hindi mo alam ang gagawin. Pero kapag alam mo ang gagawin, kapag, narinig ko to, natutunan ko to, yan, it provides you more confidence and capability to face difficult situations and therefore reducing your stress. Now, being in the HIV advocacy, there will never be a shortage of new things to learn. Laging may bago yan. 2-3 years ago, maaaring hindi nyo pa masyadong naririnig yung PrEP at paano ito gamitin. Ano yung 2-1-1 na regimen. Pero ngayon, ano yan? Paano yan ginagawa? Pwede meron bang alternative sa everyday? Kasi may client ako, ayaw niya everyday. Pero yung 2-1-1, paano ba ito ginagawa? Yan. So those are newer things to learn. If you stop 3 years ago from reading, attending these learning sessions, hindi ka mag-grow, Sangkaterba po ang trainings and conferences, invitations that we normally receive. The idea is to use and maximize these opportunities to learn something new. Hindi lang ito, gusto kong pumunta ng Tagaytay at maramdaman ang hotel doon. Ano ba yung hotel doon pag maging venue ng ng training? No. Of course, that's good that you you feel that it's a way for you to relax, but be not mistaken, it is for you to learn. Use it, maximize the opportunity to learn because it will redound to your own well-being when you practice this. So be a lifelong learner, anumang age kayo, whether you're 25 or 52, there is always something new to learn. Second suggestion or second part is mentoring yourself, architecting your own learning. Itong picture na nakikita nyo is, ang pangalan niya, ayan, nalagay ko naman dyan, si Yamaguchi-san. He's a Japanese. He's known as the Tuna King, sa Tsukiji Fish Market in Tokyo. Si Tuna King, ikikwento ko na lang. Actually, may video, pero para hindi masyadong matagal itong aking session, I will just summarize. Si Tuna King, Yamaguchi-san, didn't know anything about the tuna business. When he was in second year college, his father and himself decided to establish a tuna business. Pero ang sabi niya, I don't know how to, but because I love this work, because I had a great love for tuna, I taught myself. Sabi niya, if you love it, you'll teach yourself. If you don't, others will teach you. Ayan. So, magandang quotation siya because it really tells us that we need to be the architect of our own learning. Na dapat tayo ang mastermind ng ating learning. Yes, there will be other mentors and I'd like for you to have mentors. No, mentors are those that have done more, have accomplished greater things, no, than you. And it's good to learn from them. But at the same time, huwag ikaw parang inaanod lang no ng kung ano yung may training etc. Dapat meron ding moments na nagpaplano ka, ano ba ang mga gusto kong matutunan, sino ba yung mga mentors para sa mga areas na gusto kong matutunan, paano ko ba makakausap itong mga mentors na to, pwede ba kaming mag-schedule and all that. Very few people do that. That's why I'm telling you this is very important, to mentor yourself, be the architect of your own learning. If you do this, you expand your growth, accelerate your growth, many times over. As compared to someone na nag-iintay lang, because they're just waiting for someone to tell them what to do, to teach them, ito yung mga bago, ganyan. Compared to someone who is the architect of their own learning. So, component number 2 is mentor yourself. And the last is about metamorphosis, about having an open heart and open mind, that regardless of your age, your status in life, metamorphosis or transformation should always happen to you. No? So being open to change and transformation and embracing, ano siya, para siyang, it's not just about changing per se, but having that openness, no, and embracing diverse ideas and new experiences, and a way of relating with different people, so that you allow yourself to continuously change and grow. In this screen, I show you two evidence-based ideas. No, yung una is about neuroplasticity, where it has been proven that our own brain can change its structure and function and create new neural connections even at a later stage in life. Previously, we thought that at a certain age, tapos na yung growth ng ating brain. No. It has been proven by science that our brain has the ability to have new connections with each other based on the experiences that we have. No? So, and also the second point is growth mindset, which is a belief that ang ating intelligence is not static. Yung iba kasi parang pag natag bobo, nung bata ako sabihan ako mahina ang ulo ko. Nadadala nila yan sa pagtanda. And which is wrong. Maybe nung bata ka mahina ang ulo mo. O sige, tapos na yon. Yun na yung mga narinig mo. Pero it doesn't mean na ngayon ay wala kang pwedeng gawin para mabago yung level of intelligence mo, no? That our abilities intelligence is developed by effort, no? No, hindi ito static, hindi ito fixed. We have that our minds continually grow. No? All right. And that is the end of rule number 3. Be a master of self-change, to be truly self-adjusting, self-correcting, and self-transforming by engaging in lifelong learning, by acting as the architect of your own growth and development, and remaining open and self-introspective, always willing to transform and adapt to change. So let's summarize the 3 rules, and I'd like to give you a visual so that you can easily remember these 3 rules. No? Rule number 1 can be represented by the deep and healthy roots in this visual. No? Siya yung inner game mo, that you are able to know your story, your style, and your star, and therefore you are very much grounded and can supply the nutrients needed by a tree. Rule number 2 is about the leaves, the lush leaves of this tree. No? It's about how we connect with others, our fruits, our flowers, our contribution to others, and how we can collaborate with them to create greater good for everyone. No? And lastly, The third rule is about having a dynamic gardener, no? That helps the tree get more nutrients into the roots and ensure the flowers are pollinated and bear fruit for others to partake of. So the three rules would be represented by a tree with very, very strong foundations and healthy roots, which is rule number one. A very lush set of leaves, flowers, and fruits, for the others, relating with others, and then a gardener, no, which is minding the transformation, the continual transformation and health of the whole tree. And if we look at these three rules, I will finally, I would like to propose that rule number one be looked at as a rule about silence. In principle or in practical terms, have silence as a regular thing in your life, because that will help you get in touch with your inner game. No? Know your story, it's very dynamic. Know your style, your star, because those are things that you only become aware of if you have some silence, 10, 15 minutes a day, silence in your life. Second is the rule number two is a rule of compassion. In relating with others, in connecting with others, that rule is all about compassion. To empathize and deeply understand the experience and the emotions of others, to show kindness and care. This redounds to our groundedness and our ability to live a more self-renewed life. And lastly, rule number three is a rule on motion, where there is a sense of action all the time because we want to be continually self-transforming based on the many things that we learn, because we are open to new thoughts, new ideas, and new experiences. So as you can see, it's very easy to understand. And remember, rule number one, strengthen your inner game, is a rule of silence that involves the story, style, and star. Rule number two, all starting with the letter C, cultivate your outer game, is the rule of compassion, about your connection, your contribution, and your collaboration. And rule number three is about masterminding your transformation, a rule of motion, where you always feed your mind, you mentor yourself, and you're open to metamorphose all the time. And those, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, are the three rules of self renewal. Thank you for engaging.